is Wednesday, hump day. Fall camp for your Crimson Tide begins Thursday, August 4th. Recruiting going crazy for Bama football. And Jaheim Otis, a young man to keep your eyes on, has just unveiled his new weight on social media. This guy is a determined individual to get on the football field. With all that being said, you're rocking and rolling on the hottest show on the streets, bringing you all Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We're coming to you from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming to you the show on YouTube. And speaking of the channel, you know what time it is. You hit subscribe right now. You smash the subscribe button. Get your friends, your neighbors, all die-hard and or casual Alabama fans to subscribe. Also, hit that like button. Give us that thumbs up. Run those likes past the moon. Make this your show, your network platform channel, and space to talk Bama. Turn all of those notifications on. Hit that bell so that way you miss nothing when it comes to your Crimson Tide program. We got you covered also on Facebook and Twitter, streaming to you the show. We got a fantastic one planned for you guys on today. Like I mentioned, recruiting is going nuts for Alabama football. We'll get into that. We got two of my good guys coming on the show. Alex Barth, who covers the New England Patriots for 98.5 for Sports Hub out of Boston. He's talking Mac Jones, Patriots training camp. Bill Belichick did not say a whole bunch of things about Tom Brady during his 20 years in New England, but yet, coming to Mac Jones' second year, Belichick is just gushing, absolutely gushing about Mac 10. We'll get into that. We'll have our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, to talk about the #1 overall safety in the 2023 class, Caleb Downs, committing to the Tide. How big this is for the Alabama secondary for years to come. And then we'll get into the Bama alums in training camp. Jalen Hurts had a big day. Hey, for those Philadelphia Eagles. Tua Tagovailoa doing his thing for the Dolphins. And like I mentioned, Mac Jones getting that training camp started there for the New England Patriots. And we want to hear from you, the outstanding fans of Bama football. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358. Number to call in, ring the phone lines, blow them off the hook. We want to hear you. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. The daily Super Chat goal is $75. Jimmy Cash, man, throw it down. Clay getting us started with that Ben Franklin, that $100 donation, handling the daily Super Chat goal by himself. Dancing Steven already on the screen, getting down. We got to have Dancing Steven doing the Crimson Crane kick, so we probably going to have to call John Mechie and Jamison Williams to teach Dancing Steven the Crimson Crane kick right there. Well, we'll get to that as the time calls for. But right now, we hop to topic number 1 of the conversation. And I've already mentioned this. Bama recruiting is going nuts in this 2023 cycle. Crimson Tide, now 15 verbal commits here. Quite a few of these, 4 to 5 of these guys are 5-star athletes. We knew that the recruiting was going to pick up. We didn't quite know when, but we knew of Coach Saban it was going to pick up. It started to catch fire month of June. It has rolled into this month, and I expect nothing less than a continual roll here for Alabama football. But the latest name that has come in here for Coach Saban, the #1 safety across all recruiting metrics, 5-star from Georgia, Caleb Downs, gave his yes to the University of Alabama, Coach Saban, and the Crimson Tide. And this is big. This is big. This is big for Alabama. This is big for Travaris Robinson, DB coach, cornerbacks coach, because he had a big hand in getting Downs in here. And this just shows why Saban was so high and adamant about bringing Robinson in here. I've mentioned this before. He's got a footprint in the SEC. He knows his conference. It means something to Coach T-Rob. He played in the SEC. Defensive back at Auburn. Played corner and safety and was really good at it. But he coached in the SEC. He coached at Auburn. He coached at Florida. He coached at South Carolina with Will Muschamp. He knows his conference. And then he's an exceptional recruiter in this conference. Guys buy in to what he is saying. And T-Rob had a huge hand in bringing in Caleb Downs, #1 safety across the recruiting metric, 5-star from the state of Georgia. Big deal here as he chose Alabama over Georgia, over Ohio, and Ohio State thought it had him. The Buckeyes thought it had Downs, but Downs choosing Bama over Georgia, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and North Carolina. This is a big deal here for the Crimson Tide. Another reason why it's a big deal, this is the first time since 2012 where Alabama got the #1 safety across all recruiting metrics in a signing class. The last time Bama got the #1 safety was Landon Collins in the 2012 class, a young man from Louisiana, and we all saw how Landon Collins turned out. All SEC guy, All-American guy, national champion in 2012, national champion, SEC champion in 2012 and 2014. We all saw how Landon panned out. Big-time hitter, grew to be a very good cover safety, and now you get Caleb Downs a few years later, some years later, as another number one safety across the board coming to your program, that being Alabama football. And not just Downs, Saban and staff, they're trying to have a lockdown, a straps, a shutdown defensive secondary for years to come, because you got 3 5-star DBs that have committed for this class. Caleb Downs, Tony Mitchell, and Jaleel Hurley. Oh my gosh. 3 5-stars, 3 elite defensive backs, 3 guys who play with absolutely no fear. They take away half the field, they frustrate receivers, they reroute guys, they play with great eye discipline, great hands, great feet, great technique, great physical presence, all of that on the field. And you got all 3 of them in the same class. Saban understands, hey, after this season, I'm losing Jordan Battle, I'm losing DeMarco Hellams, I could possibly lose 2 corners, whether it's Eli Ricks and Kyrie Jackson, or Eli Ricks, Kool-Aid McKinstry. The point being, well, not Kool-Aid, you can't lose Kool-Aid McKinstry, but potentially you're losing 2 corners, you're losing 2 safeties, you could possibly lose one of your nickel guys, whether it's Brian Branch or Malachi Moore, more so Brian Branch. You're losing guys in the defensive backfield. And Saban and the staff knew we got to hit on DBs, but not just any DBs, top talent, high-end talent, high IQ talent, 5-star top defensive backs. And you got all 3 of them in Mitchell, Downs, and Jaleel Hurley. Big deal here for Alabama football and the secondary. And this just points to the job that not only Coach Saban has done, Pete Golding with his recruiting and his tactics, Travaris Robinson as the cornerbacks coach, even Charles Kelly as the safeties coach. This quartet, fine job. This quartet understanding that, hey, we got to have the best in this back 5. We got to have the best in this back 6. We got to have the best in this defensive secondary. We're going all out. We're going all out to get it. And for this group to pull in, top guys from the state of Georgia, like Caleb Downs, for you to get, in-state marquee recruiting talent like Tony Mitchell and Jaleel Hurley for your secondary, big deal. Huge deal for the University of Alabama. And this just speaks to the statement that Peter Woods made a while back, in-state talent from Thompson High School in Alabaster, that chose Clemson over Alabama, and his reasoning was, Dabo is a specialist with developing 18 to 24-year-old men. He understands the teenage life. He's more lively. Well, here comes Nick Saban saying he hadn't lost nothing with getting the number 1 safety in this class in Caleb Downs and stockpiling defensive backs along with him, like 5-stars Tony Mitchell and Jaleel Hurley. Big day here for the Crimson Tide, and it will continue throughout the week. As Saturday, we will look to see, or not Saturday, but August 1st, which is Monday, we'll look to see what 4-star defensive lineman Hunter Osborne from Hewitt-Trussville High School here in the Birmingham area, just north of Birmingham and Trussville, east of Birmingham. We'll see what Hunter Osborne does. When we take our first break here on the show, don't touch that dial, just getting started. Upon our return, folks, we get to our 2 incredible guests. Alex Barth covering the Patriots to talk Mac Jones in training camp, and our own Justin Smith for TDA to get into more of this recruiting where Caleb Downs and others are concerned. We'll be back within my own words after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
Nine players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
We back rolling, folks, in from the break on a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets, covering your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Got to remind you, Tide Nation, Thursday, August 4th, fall camp starts back. Alabama football season kicks off Thursday, August 4th with fall camp. Coach Saban and the players back on the field, starting the journey up again and trying to get to a national championship for the 2022 campaign. Gotta shout out Jimmy Clay again with that 50-piece, that $50 donation. The Super Chats helping us out right there. Appreciate the man Jimmy Clay. But right now, we go to the In My Own Words hotline where we pick up the first of our two amazing guests. We've had him on the show. We've had him on the show a few times now. Really love this guy, knows his stuff, breaks down the New England Patriots like none other, and he's coming on here to lay down the law, the groundwork for Mac Jones, year 2 in training camp for the Patriots. My man Alex Barth, reporter, sports radio personality for 98.5 The Sports Hub. Alex, what's going on, man? Happy to have you back.
Thanks for having me. First day of camp, football's back. It feels good. I know you guys got some big football news down there too today with the commitment, so it's a good day all around.
It's a great day all around, Alex. Fantastic day. And for you, the Patriots, all NFL teams in training camp, including the Patriots with Bill Belichick. But Coach Bill, Belichick doesn't just gush about players. He normally keeps things reserved, close to the vest, him in that cutoff hoodie. Doesn't really do much, say much, quite the reserved guy. Even in Tom Brady's 20-plus years there, didn't really even gush much about Tom Brady. But it seems like in the second year of Mac Jones, Bill Belichick has a lot to say, talking about dramatic improvement, significant improvement, just singing a lot of praise here on Jones. And in your mind, what has Bill Belichick this confident speaking like this in Mac's sophomore year, his second year with New England?
Not even just that he praised him, and like you said, that is out of character for Bill, certainly. He gave specifics. He's talking about the footwork and the film study and all of that. That was maybe more out of character than anything else for how specific he was being. Look, Mac clearly has put in the work. His offseason has gotten a lot of attention, as you would expect from a starting quarterback, and from throwing sessions with the Patriots wide receivers to, the physical transformation. He looks like he is in better shape now. He's put on muscle. He's taken off some of that body fat, which he said was his goal heading into the offseason. It seems like he's done all the right things, and clearly Bill Belichick agrees with those comments. So, now we see how it all translates to the field, right? Mac said that today, too, that this is just essentially a walk through practice, and there's a long way to go. But to this point, he's given us no reason but to be encouraged heading into year 2.
Absolutely. So, Alex, as we look at now, day 1 of training camp was today for the Patriots. But just for you, what are you expecting to see from Mac throughout this training camp period prior to preseason ball and the regular season? What are some things, some aspects in training camp that you want to see Jones hit on as he's in this second season?
So the biggest thing for me with him is confidence. And that's not to say he wasn't confident last year. He was as a whole. But I think a lot of rookie quarterbacks can be timid at times, especially a guy who was in Jones' spot. You know, he wasn't a first overall pick. He wasn't the presumed starter when he got to camp, all of that. I want to see him test some things. And, you know, he's worked on his throwing mechanics. He's built up some strength, so he's got a little more zip on the ball now. I want to see him test that, you know, maybe try some windows that he didn't try testing in the past. He's the entrenched starter. He has some more wiggle room. He has some room to really experiment. He doesn't need to worry about looking bad or the coaches wondering about the decisions he's making. And he did some of that today. You know, they brought in Devontae Parker in the offseason, who's a really good bully ball wide receiver, a 50-50 ball guy. And Mac was throwing him some balls and trusting him and letting him go make a play. And he did make a lot of those plays. So that's my biggest thing with Mac. Is he testing some tighter windows? Is he testing the sidelines, things like that? Where's his confidence in his arm right now? Is he going to develop into a guy who can truly make all the throws?
If you're just checking us out here on a Wednesday, we're live with my man Alex Barth, reporter for the Patriots, sports radio personality for 98.5 The Sports Hub out of Boston. Patriots in training camp. We're talking Mac Jones. And Alex, just for the sake of Josh McDaniels no longer in New England. He's the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. But how have you seen Mac, confidence-wise, in terms of taking command of the team, grow, even without McDaniels there? Even without McDaniels in his ear, because he's been there for quite some time in New England, has been Bill Belichick's right-hand man for a long time. But with him gone, how have you seen Mac kind of say, this is my team, I kind of got this, this is my show here?
Oh, tremendously. How often do we see it? We see it all the time. Mac's a guy that, back in the spring at minicamp and OTAs, I remember remarking, it feels like he's been here for 5 or 6 years, just the rapport he has with his teammates, not just the receivers, but everybody. And you saw it again today. There was one play where he wasn't even throwing the ball. It was the backup quarterback, Brian Hoyer, got a rep, and he hit Nelson Aguilar in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. It was a nice catch by Aguilar. Mac comes sprinting off the sideline, screaming at the top of his lungs, runs up to Aguilar. They do a chest bump. They both go screaming back. Like, Mac didn't need to do that. He wasn't in the play, right? He feels like a guy who's been there. And then you remember, today was Mac's first NFL training camp as a starting quarterback. This time last year and throughout last year, he was competing with Cam Newton. So he really has taken over that quarterback leadership role, that mentality, all of it. That's one of the biggest things I think he has going for him. It's excellent. It really feels like it's his team.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun, folks, watching Mac Jones year 2 in New England, going through training camp right now, especially after the rookie season he put up, surprising some people even in the national areas. But he is Alex Barth covering those Patriots for 98.5 The Sports Hub, coming on here to talk about Mac Jones, training camp started, and what he wants to see from Mac T. And Alex, as always, man, we appreciate you. Take care of yourself. Keep up the great coverage, man. We'll chat with you soon.
All right, sounds good.
I always enjoy being able to have some fun with Alex Barth. They're covering those Patriots. But going from Mac Jones coverage to Bama on the recruiting front, and we bring in my brother right here that is just on it. I mean, he is just on it. If you're not following Justin Smith on Twitter, if you're not following at TDA Recruiting on Twitter, if you're not watching the process with Justin Smith on YouTube, you are under a rock, you are a caveman, you are an extinct dinosaur. I don't know what's going on, because this guy is covering it like nobody's business. Justin, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good, Steven.
Always fun to have Justin on here talking some Bama recruiting. So, Justin, first and foremost, the big news of the day, Caleb Downs, a 5-star defensive back, #1 safety across all metrics in recruiting, giving his yes to the Crimson Tide, young man from the state of Georgia. I mean, what does this commitment mean when you look at Alabama secondary getting the #1 safety across the board? How big of a snatch was this for Nick Saban pulling this man from Georgia, pulling him from Ohio State. Talk about Caleb Downs for a minute here.
This is a significant, huge pickup for the Crimson Tide, maybe their biggest pickup up until this point, because his commitment basically opens the door for Alabama to have that class that I've hinted to in the past when it comes to the defensive back group. This would be one of Saban's best on paper in terms of their rating and their rankings and their potential at the moment. And that door is wide open with the Crimson Tide picking up a commitment from Caleb Downs on today. Of course, they have their eyes on a couple of other guys, but this 2023 defensive back class has an opportunity to be really historical for the Crimson Tide if they continue to go towards the direction that they are expected to go towards in terms of picking up some other guys who are still on their board. But in terms of what Caleb Downs brings to the table, he's a special safety prospect. It's easy to see why he's the number one safety in the nation. Has that great anticipation, a true ball hawk. You see him jumping routes consistently throughout his highlight film, even going back to his sophomore season. He's jumping routes. You could tell he knows where the football is going before the quarterback releases it. You could tell he knows where the ball carrier is going in terms of running backs coming out of the backfield. Great anticipation in terms of that. Can play inside the box, plays like a linebacker against the run. Just has everything that you want out of a safety. A great pickup for the Tide. Like I said, it just opens the door for the Crimson Tide to have a loaded defensive back class, an insane class, already insane. And it can get even more crazier if they are able to land some other guys who are still on their board.
Justin, I know Alabama fans, they want to see what does Makari Vickers do and what does Carmani McClain, what do those two guys do as far as DBs on the recruiting front. But having Downs, Tony Mitchell, and Jaleel Hurley, having 3 5-stars in your defensive secondary committed right now, how special can this group really be in the future? Because you think about it, after this year, you lose Jordan Battle, you lose DeMarco Hellams, you possibly lose 2 corners, you could possibly lose a Brian Branch, but how special could this defensive backfield be in the future when you talk no-fly zone and having Downs and having Hurley and then having Tony Mitchell, 3 5-star studs?
I think this class, like I said, on paper, they have great potential. They have opportunity to be a great secondary in the future. And what you said is exactly what Nick Saban and Alabama's coaching staff, their secondary coaching staff in terms of Varus Robinson and Charles Kelly, that is what they have sold these guys on. You guys are going to have an opportunity to come in and make an immediate impact because we're going to be losing a lot of guys at the conclusion of this upcoming season. We're going to need some new faces possibly in the secondary next season, and those guys feel that they have an opportunity to do that. Caleb Downs has brought that up going back to his commitment decision on today. Tony Mitchell has said it in the past as well. He knows he will have an opportunity to play early if he comes in and makes an early impact. And this class is so special because each of those 3 guys you just named are so talented, and they are bringing a lot to the table. Just looking at Jaleel Hurley, 6'3", long, lengthy cornerback, a guy who moves very well in coverage, can play safety, but I think his true position will be cornerback. Really like him in man coverage. I really like him in zone coverage. You can tell he knows exactly where he needs to be at all times. I think an underrated part of his game is his ability to defend the run. Although he's a little bit on the thinner side in terms of his frame, he's not afraid to defend the run. You have Tony Mitchell, who has been a 5-star for several years now. He's a guy who could be a cornerback or safety at the next level as well. He has played safety the last 2 years for Thompson High School, although he's listed as the top cornerback, I think, on most recruiting sites. I think Thompson will use him more so as a cornerback this upcoming season. I think they will put Traquan Fagan's younger brother, Anquan Fagan, as their safety and move Tony Mitchell down to cornerback. But he's a guy who could defend the run really well. Big, physical defensive back who's already seemed to fill out his frame for the most part. He's up to around 190 pounds at the moment. A guy who's good in coverage, can play some man-to-man really well, can play some zone coverage as well at that safety position. You have Downs, who I told you about his game as well. So those guys are bringing some great things to the table. They have some great things individually that they do well as well. So the Tide 2023 class already nasty, insane. It'd be crazy if they can pick up a guy like Carmani McClain and Makari Vickers. The class would be just crazy. And you're also looking at what Brayson Hubbard could be. Like I said, he's a 3-star on our side at the moment because he plays mostly cornerback. But when I get an opportunity to see him in Mississippi, he may be great at defensive back. I haven't seen him in person, so that's why he's rated as a 3-star athlete. But if he's really good, this class, he just adds talent to this class. So the Crimson Tide team think that he has some talent at the safety position. They were confident in picking up a commitment from him. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But that, like you said, I think this class an opportunity to be really good. Create that no-fly zone.
If you're just checking out the show here on a Wednesday, we got my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, talking King of Downs and this 2023 recruiting class of the Crimson Tide, which continues to be just straight up fire since the month of June. And Justin, we now turn our attention to 4-star defensive lineman Hunter Osborne out of Hewitt-Trussville High School in Trussville, just north or northeast of the Birmingham area. And here's a young man that will announce his commitment on August 1st, Monday, August 1st. Alabama is right there for Hunter Osborne. There have been a lot of guys in his ear. Where do you potentially see him leaning, as Alabama could also use more defensive linemen in this class?
I think the Tide are in a really good position with them. In the end, it'll most likely come down to the Crimson Tide and Clemson. If I had to make a prediction today, I would say the Tide will pull it out just based on the relationship that they have built with him over really the last year. They have picked up their contact with him since he picked up an offer in January. But he camped in Tuscaloosa last year around this time, June, I think. And when I got an opportunity to catch up with him at the beginning of his junior season here at Trussville High School, he was just telling me that he was building a relationship with Freddie Rogen. He was in constant contact with him, although he did not have an offer yet. After an impressive junior season, the Crimson Tide were able to put that offer on the table. He currently stands at 6'4", weighs 265 pounds, more of a powerful rushing guy. I think he will be an interior guy at the next level, has some experience rushing from the edge, but I think his true position will be as an interior inline defensive end type, continue to add on some weight and continue to increase his power. Plays well in space, really well in my opinion. I think that's one of the biggest strengths of his game. You don't see too many guys at 6'4", 265 who can play in space as well as he can in terms of playing sideline to sideline. In one-on-one situations against ball carriers and quarterbacks, he's able to break down at the basketball background. I think that comes to the forefront in terms of being in space. I almost look to see playing defense on a basketball court. Also, he can knock some balls down at the line of scrimmage. He does that really well. So it'll be a good pickup for the Tide, a very solid pickup in this 2023 recruiting class. Adding to this in-state class, they could pick up Hunter Osborne on August 1st, but I feel they're in a very solid position with him at the moment.
He is Justin Smith, people, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, talking about the number one safety in this recruiting cycle, King of Downs, 5-star, giving his verbal commitment to the Crimson Tide and others in this 2023 class as well. Justin, as always, man, we appreciate you giving us the lowdown on the recruiting front. You take care of yourself, man. We'll chat with you soon, brother.
You do the same, Steven.
Fun talking with Justin Smith, fun talking with Alex Barth, but you know what? We're about to start talking to you, the Alabama football fans. Light those phone lines up. We're coming to you right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, folks, we're back in here from the break to the action on the hottest show on the streets, talking Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Without further ado, before we take your calls, we're going to go back to these super chats. And Jimmy Clay is serious, y'all. It has been something else, man. A $12 donation from Jimmy Clay, and then he came back with $100 more. So $112 in the super chats from Jimmy Clay as Dancing Stephen doing his thing. But then Jamie Wilhelm says, hold on now, let me get myself in here. Wilhelm with the $4.99 in the super chat. So appreciate Jimmy Clay, Jamie Wilhelm, everybody pitching in, donating, chatting, conversating, making this your show, your network, your space to talk Bama football. We go to the phone lines right now to grab your calls. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Ridge Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. The number right there. We grab this call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from. You are live on the show, caller. Unfortunately, lost that call right there, but 205-448-1358. I want to hear from you guys, 205-448-1358. Guys, shout out D. Pickett, baby, with that $4.99 in the Super Chats. D. Pickett coming in here, showing love on the show here. But like I said, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. And as much, John, I'm excited about this 2023 recruiting class. And I am. 15 verbal commitments. Good bit of these are 5 stars. Taking players from the state of Georgia. Pulling players away from Ohio State. This is good. This is really, really good here for Coach Saban and the staff. This is really, really nice here. But I'm just uber pumped about fall camp, which begins Thursday, August 4th. We're going to be back out there, John, hopefully keeping our fingers crossed. We're going to be back out there. I'm speaking it into existence. We're going to be back out there, getting pictures, getting video, getting coverage, me riding around like a crazy man, getting every video in one, trying not to burn up in black pants on a hot summer day on the field. Me trying to do all of this. So we're going to be back out there soon. But I'm pumped for fall camp. I mentioned on Monday's show the position groups that I feel like they got to go hard. They got to go all out, doing their thing this year. Absolutely. So many players I want to see step up and show out. In other news, Will Reichard named to the Lou Groza Award watch list earlier today for nation's top kicker. For a long time, it's been a minute since Bama had a kicker named for the Groza Award. I think the last one that was a finalist for it was Lee Tippin, 2009. I want to say Jeremy Shelley, though, was a finalist in 2012. I think Shelley was a finalist in 2012. Tippin was a finalist in 2009. But since those two, it's been a while since Bama has had a finalist for the Groza Award from the kicker perspective. So Will Reichard up there trying to get that Groza Award for nation's top kicker. Guys, shout out Steve Robinson with that $20 donation. The Super Chats, appreciate that love from Steve Robinson. Dancing Steven up there, back in action again. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from. You're live on the show, caller.
What's going on, Steve? It's Justin Riley, man. Glad to be on with you.
Good to have you here, man. Justin, what's on your mind, brother?
Tell you what, man. I wonder how many Alabama fans had to take heart medicine this morning when Caleb Downs faked them out with tossing that first Alabama hat. But man, he sure did make the right decision. After all, he's probably one of the most heavily followed kids in this recruiting cycle. And this young man is going to come in day one as a baller. He already gets it. He's already mature. He already has the tools, and so do the rest of these guys that we've already got, and possibly more with Cormani McClain. And what I love about this kid is he's physical. He's a physical specimen. He's going to hit you in the mouth. He's going to come downhill. He's not afraid to get involved where all the junk is to try to get the ball. And if I had to compare him to former Alabama players, if I'm going old school, I'm thinking Kevin Jackson from the 90s. And then in the 2000s, I can go to Mark Barron and maybe even a little bit of Minka Fitzpatrick. But this kid is the total package. The next thing, man, got to give my shout out to Slade Bolden. This dude has been killing it in camp. I don't know if anybody's been following him during his journey here, but he's been showing up and showing out. And today had a big touchdown reception from Lamar Jackson. It's all over social media. But yeah, a lot of good things going on for Bama.
A lot of great things going on for Bama, Justin. I really like this. I really like the Caleb Downs commitment because, I mean, like you mentioned, when he tossed the first Bama hat, my heart kind of sunk a little bit because I thought he was going to grab the Ohio State hat, but then he reaches down and he pulls out a red Alabama hat, and I'm like, okay, we're cool. We're okay now. We're good now. So I'm happy to see the Caleb Downs commitment. I mean, the guy has it. IQ of a safety, hitting ability of a safety, coverage ability of a safety, outstanding footwork, and being able to play the field of thirds as a safety, playing the third of the field, as Coach Saban likes to say there. So really love what Caleb Downs brings, and, Slade Bolden doing some good things for the Ravens. I'm proud of him. Appreciate Justin Riley calling into the show here on a Wednesday. We grabbed this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
This your boy Smooth, Steven, calling out of the ATL.
Smooth, what's going on, man?
What's up, Steven, man? I just want to tell you that I really enjoy your show, man, and I'm a regular listener. I listen to it every day. I don't really come on here as much because, honestly, y'all do such a great job. You do a great job of breaking down Alabama content, and your callers, they come in here with their thoughts, and they do such a job breaking down content that a lot of times, I just listen to y'all and I don't have really much to say for real. But, man, when I say I love Alabama football and I'm so excited for the team and the year that we have coming up, Stephen, it's going to be crazy, man. Like, my expectations through the roof. And, I feel like it's for a good reason, with all the players we got coming up. But I'm so excited about this 2022 football season. Like, I just can't see nobody beating us, Stephen. Call me arrogant, call me cocky, call me whatever, but I just don't see nobody beating us if we come out there and play A-plus game. Like, it shouldn't even be close this year, Steven.
I'm going to say this, Smooth. If Alabama comes out here this season and plays like we know they're capable of playing, it could be a runaway. I mean, it could be a serious runaway. When you look at all of the veteran experience back on defense, Pete Golding knows what the expectation is as a defensive coordinator. Bill O'Brien knows in year two, offensive coordinators under Saban, they get into that championship. O'Brien knows that. The way Bryce Young has come back hungry, the way Will Anderson's even hungrier, the way this entire team saw how they were right there, despite the youth, they were right there with Georgia for a national championship. It just got away from them, but they know what to expect. Smooth, I feel like this is the championship team. Appreciate Smooth there calling into the show. Absolutely. People felt like last year, the team was young, and if it would have won a championship last year, it would have been great. But I feel like this year's team is the championship team. You have the leadership, you have the experience, you've got the playmakers, you've got young talent, but you've got high energy but sound technique coaches. All of this is infused together. And it's great when it's infused together. Jimmy Clay again, a $30 donation. The Super Chats, JC, getting it done again. Jimmy Clay, appreciate the love right there. And so the topics here, aside from Bryce Young being tossed into the pool as the traditional birthday celebration, yes, they threw the Heisman Trophy winner in the pool. They threw him in the cold tub. All the players did that. Aside from that, they did protect his arm, though. Several folks were screaming, hold his arm, protect his arm. They did protect Bryce's arm before throwing him in the pool. But aside from that, Julio Jones has signed a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is joining Tom Brady. I never thought it would happen. Julio Jones, who could have beaten and should have beaten, because the Falcons should have beaten the Patriots in the 2017 Super Bowl off the 16 season. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and every rapper in Atlanta was upset. But Julio gets that chance at that ring in joining Tom Brady. He signed a 1-year deal worth $6 million, but with incentives, it's actually worth $8 million, according to Ian Rappaport. So Julio Jones at 33 years of age, hooking up with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. So kudos to Julio. And like our man Justin Riley mentioned, Slade the Blade Bolden doing some good stuff in Ravens training camp. Undrafted free agent from Bama. Ravens picked him up. John Harbaugh, we know him as a hardcore special teams coach, so Slade was going to have those shots on special teams, but he's showing that, hey, route runner, can make catches as a receiver. Caught a touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson in training camp, so Slade is pulling off his best. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Wayne Chrebet, taking you way back to the old Jets. Wayne Chrebet impersonation. In terms of Slade is saying, I'm going to make you watch me. I'm going to do something every day in training camp to get all the eyeballs on me. That's what all those guys I named did. That's what Slade Bolden is trying to do right here. But kudos to Slade. We're going to take another break here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we'll dive into Alabama alums and NFL training camp and what these guys are doing. We'll update you right after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back in here, wrapping things up, tidying up loose ends on the hottest show on the streets, number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Remember, Tide Nation, Thursday, August 4th, fall camp begins for the Tide. Thursday, August 4th, we begin the journey of this team trying to make that quest back to the college football playoff and win a national championship. But gotta remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com for all of your swagger, sauce, drip, clothing, cultural fashion needs. Check us out right now, TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. Link in the description. Get your gear today. Get yourself set up while the team is still in summer workouts or when fall camp comes in. get yourself set up there. Or if you're waiting for, when Alabama takes on Utah State on September 3rd to get yourself set up, hey, it's fine too. But check out the gear, tdawear.com. We got you covered for your Crimson Tide. Show that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But training camp has started for all 32 NFL teams, and we know several Bama alums are in these training camps for the pros. But since everybody likes to talk about the quarterbacks, and Alabama has 3 former guys in the NFL, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones. Let's talk about these guys, shall we? First and foremost, Jalen Hurts. It is Hurts season in Philly as he's in his 3rd year. And first day of training camp for Jalen Hurts. Brother balled out, y'all. Brother balled out. I mean, Nick Sirianni, head coach for the Eagles, walks into training camp with the Jalen Hurts t-shirt on. That's how big Hurts season is. When your head coach, when your boss walks into training camp with your shirt on and your face is on the shirt, it's a pretty big deal there. Even A.J. Brown, newly acquired wide receiver from the Titans, he has the Hurts season hat on. Like, everybody, there's a lot of buzz around the Eagles organization this season for Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of buzz. Last year was the 2nd year. First year as a starting quarterback. Jalen, 26 total touchdowns, 16 passing, 10 rushing. Got the Eagles to the playoffs. He's got a chance to play himself into a bigger contract for the 2023 offseason, depending on what he does this year. And everybody's excited. First day of camp, Hurts, 12 of 16 passing, threw 4 to 5 touchdowns. Connected with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, number of different guys for touchdowns. Yes, Hurts also had 1 pick, but the ball was tipped. Incidental, that happens. The accuracy's better. The precision's better. The timing's better. The leadership's always been there. It's Hurts season, and everybody in Philly, the city of brotherly love, where Philly cheesesteaks run wild, everybody's bought in Philly. As we turn this attention now to Tua Tagovailoa, his first day of training camp, Tua looked great. I mean, deep passes to Jalen Waddle, deep passes to Tyreek Hill, continuing his thought process of shutting critics up. He sat there and said today, if I can't hear you, your words mean nothing. So Tua, talk with more confidence, talk with more swagger, looks as relaxed as I've ever seen him. And I've talked about this before. And under Brian Flores, we saw Tua stressed out. We saw Tua not happy. We saw Tua looking broke, busted, and disgusted. We saw Tua looking depressed as all get out. With Mike McDaniel, we're seeing Tua from his days at Alabama. Happy, joyful, jubilant, excited, swagged out, confident. This is the Tua Tagovailoa that we all know. Had a great first day of training camp. And then last but not least here, Mac Jones. We heard it from Alex Barth. Slimmed down, chiseled up, bulked up. Physique is there. Footwork is there. Timing is there. He's always been known to be accurate. Arm strength. He's got some zip there on the football now. Been throwing with Tom Brady's old throwing coach this offseason. He's been working with all of the receivers this offseason. Year 2 of Mac Jones. A lot of people thinking he can be the first quarterback of that 2021 rookie class to win a Super Bowl. And with Bill Belichick, who, by the way, did not say anything gushing about Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was there for 20 years. And now here's Mac Jones. And Bill Belichick can't stop gushing. I don't know. Maybe it's the heat. No, I blame the heat. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe the hoodie is too tight. You know what? Mac Jones deserves that credit. It's probably because Mac Jones deserves that credit, which he does. So, Mac, Jalen, Tua, good training camp so far as it kicked off for all 32 NFL teams today. The last thing I want to mention here, John, hopefully Bo Scarborough finds an NFL home. Because after what he did in the USFL for the Birmingham Stallions, he got a workout yesterday for the New Orleans Saints. Hopefully New Orleans does the right thing, sign Bo Scarborough. Because could you imagine a 1-2 punch of a powerful battery ram in Bo Scarborough, and then the versatile do everything in Alvin Kamara? Oh man, would that be fun? Would fantasy football people freak out? Would fantasy experts go nuts? Would fantasy owners possibly go bankrupt trying to get the Saints with Bo Scarborough and Alvin Kamara? Could happen. Hopefully the Saints do the right thing and sign Bo. But as always, folks, you want the best in news, notes, information, and entertainment on your favorite program, that being Bama football. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. Now, for your audio needs, check us out. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, yours truly, I'll be back on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're trying to get your hands on the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join. Become a member or a subscriber today. That link in the description. If you're trying to get your hands on the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link in the description too. Guys, shout out my guys, Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, and Alex Barth, Patriots beat reporter, sports radio personality for 98.5 The Sports Hub out of Boston, giving us the lowdown, showing us their expertise on today's show. Guys, shout out you, the Alabama football fans, with all the love, the donations, the chats, the conversations, making this your show, network, platform, channel, and space to talk Bama. Gotta also shout out my man John Ivory behind the scenes on the ones and twos in that production studio, doing his own thing there, helping us out here on the show. And until next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored. Be sure to get yourself those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, people. You protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to Emma on the Word. See you guys Friday.